If you own a 2014 to 2021 Toyota Tundra, this is a solution that you guys have been asking for. We are proud to introduce our brand new subwoofer enclosures specifically designed for your 2014 to 2021 Tundra CrewMax cab. Our team has been working diligently to bring you a form, fit, and factory look sub enclosure for the back seat of your Toyota Tundra. Our subwoofer enclosures are available currently in 3 options. You can get just the empty enclosure that comes with the enclosure itself and the terminal cup, so you can install your favorite subwoofer that you might already have or one that you're looking at in your truck. The second option is the preloaded enclosure. Currently we have this available with either an Alpine or a Kicker 10-inch subwoofer, which will perfectly complement our amplifier bundle options for the Tundra. We get a lot of questions already about what subwoofers are we using in this kit. So here in front of us we have the Alpine S2-W10D4 and the Kicker 48 CWRT-10-4. These are both 10-inch subwoofers that will fit perfectly in our enclosures. They are both 4 ohm subwoofers that, if you get the preloaded option, we wire them down to 2 ohms to give maximum efficiency and maximum output for a killer sound upgrade in the backseat of your Tundra. A little bit about the enclosure itself. This is built out of a sturdy 3/4 inch MDF. These are CNC cut here in our Frederick, Maryland shop, hand built and then finished with this nice LineX coating to make a completely sealed and durable box that will withstand the base that you're going to throw at it in the backseat of your Tundra. Now that we've gone over a little bit about the boxes and the subwoofer options and the options available for purchase on the website, in this video we're going to show you how easy these are to install in the backseat of your Toyota Tundra. If you're looking for a comprehensive installation video of any of our awesome plug-and-play amplifier bundles, be sure to check out those videos on our website and the YouTube channel. The list of tools that we'll need to complete our install today is pretty short. We will need some sort of ratchet, either powered or manual. We'll need a 10mm socket, a 14mm socket, and a 17mm socket. We'll also need an Allen key. You probably got one of these with your amplifier if you already have the amplifier installed, so make sure you go and find that. And we'll grab a panel tool just because we need to pop off some plastic pieces to make access to the amplifier and to run our subwire. But outside of that, we're ready to get this disassembly started so we can get one of these awesome new subwoofer enclosures in this Tundra and finish out this audio system. All right, let's get started with the disassembly of our Tundra so we can install our new subwoofer. So in this truck, this is a JBL truck. This has the factory subwoofer behind the back seat on the driver's side. So we need to make access to that to remove it, and that's also where our new subwoofer is going to live. If you do not have the JBL, if you have the amplified non-JBL or just the non-amplified truck, you still need to remove the back seat, but you will not have a subwoofer to remove. So first thing we need to do is fold the seat bottom up. We're going to grab our ratchet with a 17mm socket, and there are 4 seat bolts that we need to remove, and then we can remove the entire of the 60/40 side of the back seat and we'll get it out of the way. First bolt, go ahead and loosen it up. We're going to completely remove these. And what I like to do is I like to take the bolts in the orientation that they came out of the seat, and I'm going to lay them over here to the side so that way I know that the one in the back goes back in the rear hole. And this is going to be extremely important here in a second, and I'll show you why. All right, so on this seat support here, the front bolt is a fine thread. The rear bolt is more of a coarse thread. So this is important to note because this seat bolt is different than any other bolt that holds in the rear seats. So we want to make sure that this one goes back in the rear hole on this bracket. Otherwise, we're going to cross thread or damage our seat bolts, and we definitely don't want to do that. So again, I'm going to put that one in the front, put that one in the rear. That way I make sure that I know exactly where they're supposed to go back. Now we have our 4 seat bolts out. I want to make sure that if it hasn't come out already, remove the seat belt from the little retainer here. Now we can lift our seat up. There are these locating pins that go in these holes, so you just need to free those up. And now we can remove our back seat. So like I said a moment ago, this has the factory JBL subwoofer in it. We've just placed this one in here for demonstration purposes. This is the one that came out of one of the other shop trucks. And it's missing a few of the brackets, but essentially there would be a 10mm bolt right here near the door. There's one here at the top of the enclosure, and then there is one more on this other bracket against the back wall of the truck. Those 3 10mm bolts will need to be removed, and then the subwoofer enclosure can be disconnected, the speaker wire can be unplugged and then removed out of the way. So let's change our 17mm socket out for a 10mm. Like I said, this one has one 10mm here at the top against the back wall, one bracket that would be going into the floor, and then one other here again along the back wall. All right, so like I said, this one was just put in here for demonstration. The factory subwoofer wire is right here. That can be disconnected. There's just a retaining tab here on the top. You can push that down and release it. In our installation of our subwoofer enclosure, this factory speaker wire is no longer needed, so we can just tuck that back here behind the plastic and out of the way. If you'd like, you could take your hardware and put it back in the place so that you don't lose it, or you can put it in your toolbox. All right, now we've made room for our sub enclosure. In this truck, it has this material on the back wall that can stay. We've seen some trucks that had a thicker foam material installed along the back wall. That will either need to be cut out of the way to make room for the subwoofer, or you can remove it completely. This carpet material, this is pretty thin, so when we put our sub enclosure in, we'll just be able to push it right back. So let's go ahead and grab our sub box. We'll get it loaded in here and I'll show you how to line it up. All right, here is our subwoofer enclosure. We're going to orient this so that our speaker terminal here on the end of the box is towards the passenger side of the vehicle. And we're going to get this back in place. And then what we want to do is there's this recessed area in the front of the sub box that is going to line up with the seat hinge here. So you have this where the seat mounts, and then there's a hinge that allows the seat to go up and down. That's going to fit in this cutout once we put the seat back in. But for right now, let's go ahead and grab our sub speaker wire. We'll get that connected to our terminal cup, and we'll start running that towards our amplifier. If you purchased one of our plug and play amplifier bundles for the Tundra, you received either this red and black or a black and yellow wire, depending on which amplifier option you got. If you got an Alpine, you got red and black, and if you got Kicker, you got the yellow and black. This is going to be the wire that we're going to use to connect our subwoofer to the sub outputs on our amplifier. So in either case, on one end of the wire, you're going to either have forks or wire ferrules. That's going to go towards the amplifier, and then the bare wire on the other end is going to connect to the terminal cup on our subwoofer enclosure. So for this, we're going to start with the black wire, and you can see on the terminal cup there's a red port and a black port, and in the middle of the port there's a hole that goes straight through. We're going to take the bare wire, so the black wire is going to go through the hole, and we want to make sure that we have the bare wire touching the metal on both sides of the hole, and then we can just twist and tighten down our terminal. And we're just going to go finger tight. We don't want to sever the wires off. We just want to make good contact, and then we're going to repeat the same thing with the red, Red's going to go through the middle of the terminal. Again, making sure that we have metal to metal contact from the wire to the terminal on both sides. All right, again, finger tight. And now we have our sub wires connected to our enclosure. We can set this back down, kind of mock it up in place, and then we'll start to run our speaker wire around to our amplifier. All right, now we have our subwoofer back down. We just need to go ahead and mock it up. So again, the recessed area in the enclosure is going to line up with the seat support. The other end of this is kind of right up against the plastic here along the side, and then we just want to make sure that it is pushed all the way back. And then we can take the rest of our speaker wire and we're going to go behind the other part of the back seat. No real need to take that seat out, but we're going to route it behind the seat and then over towards the passenger side door sills so that we can use the channel to get up to under the front seat where our amplifier is. If your amplifier is located someplace else, you just need to run the speaker wire to wherever your amplifier is. All of our kits, we put the amp under the seat, so that's where we're headed. So take this, I'm going to throw it behind the seat. We can tuck it away a little bit. And now we're going to go to the passenger side door sill and continue to run our speaker wire. Next step in running our sub wire is we're going to remove the door sill here. So we've got our panel tool. We're just going to find a place, pry up until you kind of get your fingers under there. And we're going to remove that. You can reach behind the back seat and grab our speaker wire. Again, you can kind of tuck this back behind the carpet. And we're going to get down into our door sill chase here. And we're just going to run the sub wire under these little hold downs. Pull all your slack out. And then we can start by tucking it under the plastic of the B-pillar. And this is where your panel tool, your pry tool can come in handy. You can kind of use it to gently push that underneath. Now we can take the rest and toss it up towards the front door. And with that tucked out of the way, we can grab our door sill. Get it lined up. Go ahead and put that back in place, and then we can work on tucking in the rest of our wire under the B-pillar. And then while we're back here, we're going to go ahead and take out the 2 rear seat bolts so we can get the front seat out, and then that'll give us a better view of what we need to do at the amplifier. All right, to remove the rear seat bolts, we're going to pull the plastic caps off, and then we're going to grab a 14mm socket and remove the 2 bolts. All right, now that we have our rear seat bolts removed, we'll jump to the front. We'll slide the seat back, remove the 2 front 14mm seat bolts, disconnect the seat wires, and then get it out of the way so we can show you how to connect your subwoofer to the amplifier. Now to the front of the seat, let's get the 2 14mm bolts out. All right. Now we can lean our seat back. A couple of plugs here, we're going to go ahead and disconnect them. We're going to depress the tabs on each of our connectors. All right, now we have our seat disconnected. We can go ahead and we're going to remove this completely from the vehicle. You may or may not have to remove it completely from the vehicle if you have access to the amplifier, but for better view of what we're showing you, I'm going to go ahead and take it completely out of the truck. All right, next thing we're going to do is I'm going to remove the sill plate from the front door. Again, just lifts up and out of the way. And then we can continue tucking our sub wire. Excuse our mess here. We got a dog lover as our vehicle owner. All right, so we're gonna go under that, hold down. Here's our amplifier that we're connecting to. So we can pull the carpet up. And we're gonna run the wire here and come up with all the rest of our wires. And now we have our amplifier. So in this case, this truck has the Audex amplifier, 5-channel amplifier installed. The Kicker, the Alpine, any of your other aftermarket amplifiers, fairly similar in the connection. Somewhere on the side or bottom or top or somewhere on the amplifier, you're going to have the sub-out connections. So we can see them right here. It's labeled woofer on this amplifier, and we're going to have a positive and a negative. So what we want to do is we're going to take our sub wire, make sure that you grab the Allen key that fits the set screw or the Phillips head screwdriver. If you need a Phillips head, we're going to find the positive. On this one, it's on the left, so we're going to take our red sub wire, loosen up our set screw. In this case, we're going to insert our wire ferrule. And we'll tighten that down. And then this side says negative, so that's going to be our black. Again, if you have our Kicker kit, black is still going to be black, but the positive will be the yellow wire. So we're going to tighten those down, give them a little bit of a wiggle, and then just snug them up. No real need to go crazy. But there we are. Now we have our new subwoofer connected to our amplifier. Now it's time to turn the head unit on. We're going to give it a test. We can set our tune for our subwoofer. After we're happy with our tune, then we can go through and put the rest of the truck back together and go and enjoy our new sub enclosure. Now that we have our subwoofer hooked up to the amplifier, I've gone ahead and put the truck into accessory mode so we can get our head unit turned on and give the subwoofer a test. So let me find our favorite soundtrack here, get that turned on, turn up the volume and see how it sounds. All right, perfect. So the subwoofer is working. I know it doesn't really always convey in our videos, but the subwoofer is working as it should. Now is the time that you're going to want to tune your amplifier and your head unit and the rest of your audio system with the subwoofer installed. Our recommendation is anytime you add, subtract, change, do anything with your audio system is to just take everything back to zero, retune your amplifier, retune the gains, the crossovers, retune your head unit, because now you have different equipment in play and it might change the balance of the music or the way that you want to listen to it. So again, our recommendation, kind of the quick and dirty, down and dirty way of doing it, is we're going to take all the gains on our amplifier and set them to 0 or low, whatever is the lowest setting on your amplifier. Make sure that we don't have any EQs set in the head unit. Once we have the head unit flat and nothing in the amplifier, we're going to turn up the volume on our head unit to about 75% of the maximum. And then we can set the gains on our amplifier. Again, we're going for overall volume. And then you can tweak it with the crossover settings, and then you can go back in your aftermarket head unit and adjust any of the settings, the EQ, the presets, time alignment, anything in the head unit to kind of just finish it off, and then really dial in your audio system for how you like to listen to your music, what kind of music you like to listen to, and kind of the overall vibe that you're going for in your truck. So now that we've verified that that works, we will go ahead and reassemble the vehicle and we will finish this install. Now that we have our amplifier set and everything is working and we're happy with the way that it is, the next thing to do is we're going to get the wires tidied up. And it looks like the next project, the next upgrade we need to do to this truck is the amplifier mounting bracket. So we will show you that in another video. We have a great little amplifier mounting bracket that goes right here under the seat, holds the amplifier nicely and securely. So we will be doing that one in the next video for sure. So for right now, we're just gonna take our extra wire and we're gonna tuck this amplifier away. All right, grab our door sill, and we're going to line that up, pop it back into place. Now it's time to grab the seat and put the seat back in. With the seat back in place, we can reconnect the 3 connectors. And now we can drop our seat down, and we're going to line up the locating pins on the seat. And then we can hand start our front bolts. Always make sure you give them a good couple turns, make sure the threads are lined up before we go to tighten them down. Grab our socket and tighten down our seat bolts. All right, let's grab our rear seat bolts and get those started. Get them tightened down. And replace our plastic covers. Now we can go back to the driver's side, grab our rear seat and put it back in place, get it bolted in, and finish up this installation. All right, we have our seat in. We're going to slowly work it back into position. There we go. We have our locating pins now seated. We want to double check. We can make sure that the recessed area of our sub box is lined up with the seat hinge. And then we can drop our seat back into place. It should go all the way back and fit nicely. Can reach behind, make sure that our sub box is still lined up. We want to check seat operation. See that our seat goes all the way down and locks. So we know that our seat is properly aligned. So we have our 4 seat bolts. Again, the one seat bolt has more of a coarse thread. That one's going to go towards on the inner seat towards the rear. So I always start with that one. So we'll go ahead and start that by hand. Take the rest of the 3 bolts and start those. All right, and again, these are 17 millimeter on the rear seat, so let's go ahead and tighten those down. All right, there we are. So we've designed this box so that you don't need any extra brackets or securement. Now with the seat securely in place, it has sandwiched that sub box to the back of the cab. It is not going anywhere, and we're going to check our seat operation one more time. Goes all the way down, locks into place. So that wraps up the install. All right, everybody, thanks for hanging out with us today installing our new subwoofer enclosure. So if you are looking to add a subwoofer to a truck that didn't have it, or you're just ready to ditch the factory subwoofer, make sure you go pick up your subwoofer enclosure, again, specifically for your 2014 to 2021 Toyota Tundra with the CrewMax cab in our shop at www.trailgridpro.com. And like always, have a blast out there.